The Discovery is the newest Netflix original movie, and it stars Robert Redford, Jason Segel, Jesse Plemons and Rooney Mara, and is about a scientist called Thomas, who is played by Robert Redford, who has made the discovery that when the body dies, the consciousness then heads to a different and new plane of existence, which thus proves the existence of an afterlife. Unfortunately, the one thing he didn't plan for is that this discovery triggers a mass increase in suicides around the world. And that's pretty much all I want to say, because what I just said is pretty much made clear within the first 10 to 15 minutes of the movie. The rest of it, I want you guys to find out on your own, because it's one of those movies where the less you know going into it, the better. First of all, the performances in this movie are really, really good from pretty much everyone, with the two standouts being Robert Redford and Rooney Mara. Robert Redford gives it his all in this movie. I mean, he adds loads of layers and a lot of complexity to his character that I wasn't really expecting going into this movie, and it made his character a lot more interesting because you just want to know more about him, and the constant mood changes that this character has. Like, for example, one minute he might seem rather likeable and down to earth and you want to know more about his past. But then there are other times where he can just snap and you're kind of frightened of him, and it's an actor like Robert Redford that really brilliantly pulls it off in this movie. The other standout for me was Rooney Mara, who I think just about has as much complexity to her character as Robert Redford's character does, and I thought she was really good, even though she kind of only is there for one specific reason. She actually adds a lot to the plot, and her past, just like Thomas, Robert Redford's character, is very intriguing and you really want to know more about it. Jesse Plemons is also very good in this movie, but yet again, I've liked him in pretty much everything I've seen him in since Breaking Bad. I thought he was amazing in Fargo Season 2, and for what it was, I thought he was very good in Black Mass. And I think this movie is just another one to add to the list of really good performances that he's been on. And then there's Jason Segel, who most of you will know for being in comedies such as How I Met Your Mother, and it's nice to see him do a role which is a lot more serious than his more comedic roles. And for the most part, I thought he was pretty good. I didn't think he was amazing, but I thought he was better than I was expecting him to be. But for the majority of the movie, I feel as if he gives this blank stare into the distance, which is supposed to be dramatic, but comes across as rather distracting for most of the movie. And I don't know if this is just me, but I feel as if his character could have been played by literally anybody. Even though I do think he gave a good performance, he didn't particularly make it his own. And I feel like anybody with a similar acting range to him could have played that character. Now, from a filmmaking standpoint, I think this movie is really good. I really like the score to the movie, and I think the cinematography is very slick and very stylish and perfectly fits the tone of this movie. But there is a nice little touch that they added to the way the movie looks that I think must have been intentional, and I think gives the movie an extra oomph in terms of impact. Basically, what I'm on about is that throughout the majority of the movie, the colour palette that they go for is very dull, grey and depressing, which kind of fits the theme of death, and in all fairness is more evident when the story gets more complex. But by the time the ending comes around and everything is somewhat cleared up, the colour palette immediately changes to very bright and very colourful. And it's small little details like this in the filmmaking that make it better than I was expecting, and I think they're just nice little touches that can be appreciated. Now, like I said at the start, this movie is not perfect. I've previously mentioned that Jason Segel's character could have been played by literally anybody. Also, I think the movie, well, throughout the most part for me, was kind of hard to follow. Throughout the majority of the movie, I felt as if I, as a viewer, was missing something that all of the other characters knew. Like, as soon as the movie starts, I was like, is there something missing here? I feel like I should know something before going into this movie. And unfortunately, because I felt like this throughout the majority of the movie, it just became more and more annoying. Luckily, things do get cleared up more towards the end. I mean, not fully, but some things get cleared up. And it made things a little bit clearer, and the eventual things that I thought were missing do eventually kind of get answered. And this leads on to another sort of problem that I have with the movie. I mean, it's not really a problem, it's more of a nitpick for first time viewings. And that's the very, very last scene. It kind of throws everything you just learnt in the movie out of the window. I mean, I've watched the movie once fully, and I've done a bit more investigating as to what the fuck actually happened. And it kind of makes a bit more sense, but when you watch it for the very first time, it's kind of like, okay, I think I know what's going on, but I'm not 100% sure. I mean, don't get me wrong, the theme of death and suicide is hard enough to tackle in a movie as it is, and the questions that they raise, such as, if you had a chance to go in the past and change something, would it really be for the better? And other questions like that are really prominent in this movie and do make you think. But the thing is, the movie just gets kind of a bit too convoluted that it's hard at times to really understand what they're trying to put across. I mean, like I said, the themes and the questions are very clearly put out there. It's just the way they go about it isn't exactly the clearest, and you will only fully get it if you watch it a couple of times. But for those of you that have somewhat of a short attention span, I don't think you'll get on very well with this movie. I've probably butchered what I was trying to explain, but if one of you gets it, that's fine by me. Anyway, guys, I'm going to give The Discovery a 7 out of 10. Personally, I don't think it's as amazing as everyone's making it out to be, but for a Netflix original movie, it is really, really good. So guys, that was my review for The Discovery. I hope you liked it, and if you did enjoy it, remember to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Bye!